Welcome to the Tattoo Marketing Podcast. On this week's episode, we have Michael, the founder of Force of Focus and co-owner of Legacy Tattoo. We talk about a lot of stuff from mindset to things every artist should know to thrive in 2025 and beyond, and all the changes that are happening in the industry, from being stuck to how to actually scale your shop. This is a awesome episode. A guy I really enjoy talking to because of his knowledge and his experience. As always, enjoy.
I'm Michael Goetz. A lot of people know me from the Force of Focus. I'm CEO and creator of the Force of Focus, but I have a massive, amazing team that works with us, multiple members in leadership. But I'm a co-owner of Legacy Tattoo. I've been tattooing for about 20 years now. Loving life. I live everything from a creative level, and it's the coolest thing in the world, man.
That's awesome. And what we were kind of talking about right before we started recording this is how you essentially prime your days, because you're a busy dude, and like, if you don't set the tone for the day when you begin, it turns into absolute chaos and you're just not as productive.
Yeah. You want to know what my secret sauce really is?
100%.
I hate everything about the idea that tattooing is a lifestyle.
Mhm.
I feel like we set the tone for the lifestyle we want. So I've designed my day yellow green system, and a lot of people have heard me preach this. My red is my high energy, my yellow is my high performance, and my green is my high purpose. But I will give my red and my green my schedule first. It goes to me and it goes to my family. Everything in the middle is high performance. That's my workflow, that's my creativity, that's my clients, that's my money-making activities. There's nothing that should take time away from me prioritizing my own growth, and there's nothing that should take time away from me being an active part of my family.
Agreed.
And that makes me a full, complete beast. And it kind of goes against the old narrative of tattooing as a lifestyle, because you're right. Eat, sleep, breathe it, whatever. That's fine. But at what point can you assess the fact that you were burnt out because you don't have purpose in every single action you take? And tattooing requires both purpose and passion at all ends, which is why those 7 pillars are so important.
Yeah, agreed, man. It's you think a tattoo artist, and I know a lot of people are like this, they, stay out till 2, 3 a.m., they go home, sleep till 11 o'clock, roll out of bed, head to the shop, and just feel like shit and have these groggy days, and they're in a shitty mood. And like, it's really easy to change that. But when you think about like lifestyle of a tattoo artist, that's typically what comes to mind.
Yep. And everybody knows it's unsustainable. You know what I mean? So I think the cool part about an offer that you have to help artists get in control of the love they have for art by you covering the front and the back end of it. That's awesome, because it gives artists the freedom, it gives them control, it alleviates a lot of the burnout. But there's a lot of artists out there. Look at Matt from Honest Tattooer. He and I have created a pretty good friendship, just getting to know each other's like personal lives. He still in the morning, but he does it with the most purpose and passion humanly possible into his art, because that's his free time. And so a lot of those things don't have to die. I consciously choose to wake up at 3:45 because that's my freedom. That's my me time. And everybody does it differently. The cool part about being a tattoo artist in any other industry is you're in control to live life the way you want to. But when you look at the old like stigma of tattooing, are you really in control of that behavior, or are you just kind of going in it with autopilot?
100%, man. But yeah, like, again, before we started recording, we were talking about getting early and how it kind of sets the tone for the day. And I thought I got up at early because I get up around 5 o'clock, but it is to do exactly what you were talking about, is time before the kids get up, time for myself, time to either go to the gym when I first wake up, or I go for a walk with my dog, and it just sets the tone for the day. I have so much more energy, and then I get to sit down again. The house is quiet, it's peaceful, and do what I need to kind of move forward with before the chaos of the day actually begins. And it's huge.
Yeah. And I think when you do have that system in place, the chaos is calming. It's when you don't have control that the chaos gets overwhelming. And that's started simply as just personal development. That's all I did. I just wanted to help artists prioritize the person instead of feeling like they had to be an idea at all times, because that's what it winds up being. You're a rock star without a guitar, but what happens when you get off stage? Who are you then? You
Yep.
don't get the same attention, you don't get the same gratification. So what are you doing in your day to day that's going to fill your cup? And since then, it has cascaded into this massive thing that is so much bigger than my wildest imaginations, and I love it. But I think it's because of systems. And an artist is either going to spend all of their time wondering what to do next, or they're going to be able to gracefully move in inevitably needs to occur next because of the schedule they keep or the systems they have, knowing that they're not burning themselves out everywhere, stretching themselves too thin.
Yeah, agreed. The systems are huge. Once you kind of implement that, and it's a lot of the times it's not the most fun thing having a system, having a regiment, but honestly, boring is what makes progress for the most part. Like doing the things that you don't want to do. And one thing I know that at least a handful of people listening to this are going to say, and I get this from my friends and everybody hears it, it's like, I don't have time to do that. Like, bull fucking shit. You have time to do all of this stuff. You have time to get up in the morning. Like, you're an extremely busy guy. I run this company. I have two kids. Both of my kids do traveling sports. Like, you can get it in if you actually want to make time for it and do it. Anybody can do it. I used to work at years ago. I was in construction. I worked at an aluminum smelter. They restarted a line. I worked 28 12 to 16 hour night shifts in a row. And then for the next 6 months, I did 6 days a week between 12 to 16 hour shifts every fucking week. I never missed the gym. I never missed family time. Like I don't, and I had two small kids. My kids at the time were 2 and 4. Like, you can make time. Dude, 100%. If I can do that, like, I hate that I don't have time excuse. It drives me in fucking insane.
Yeah, the one thing that I learned, and I've heard this so many times, is if you say that you don't have time, you have to be wealthy. If you're not, then you're throwing all of your time out the window. That, and Ed Milet said, success is more fun than fun is fun. So gauge what you want to apply your time to so that fun can be forward moving.
Yeah.
Because the things I do, going to the gym, hanging out with my son, I mean, he's almost 2 years old. He's creating games that I don't understand. And you better believe I'm in the thick of it. And I love it because I get to be in the moment.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, and this is prior to having a son, like I never lived in the moment. My mind was everywhere else. I would be there physically, but I was just so like distracted by everything else. What systems create is freedom. It creates being able to be in the moments that you need to be in. You can, in fact, give 100% of yourself to everything as long as you know it's where you belong in that moment.
Yep.
And I couldn't imagine a life not being an active participant in my son growing up. I couldn't imagine not being an active participant in working with the artists I get to or tattooing in this moment, because I know what it's like to be tattooing all day long and be thinking about bills, be thinking about if my old lady's mad, be thinking about like a magnitude of other things. And I would way prefer to have control over where my mind is in each and every moment. That's freedom.
Yes. Yes. Programs and systems in essentially most of your aspects of your life, from your daily routine to your finances to everything like that. Like I said, in the moment, it might not be the most fun in the world, but now you have that stability. You're not worried about your finances. You're not worried about your business or your clients or anything like that. So it's boring, but it breeds like an amazing life, which is,
Yeah.
you can't spend enough. You can't buy that. Like, you have to create it. And it's, I think, a lot easier than people think it is, as long as they're willing to like dedicate themselves and do some shit that might not be the most fun, or again, is boring. Like, we live in a society where you get so much dopamine from your phone every day that it's made it so much worse, that like it's so much easier to lie in your bed when you wake up and scroll through TikTok for an hour than it is to go to the gym. But you set an entirely different tone for the day. It's insane. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we just had a call because we do 4 calls a week, one for personal development, one for marketing and branding, one for systems, infrastructure, and innovation in the tattoo industry, and then another one on financial literacy and investment education. The one conversation we can physically have on all of those is risk assessment and risk threshold. And I think, and this is gonna like I'll probably get some pushback on the statement, but tattoo artists' biggest issue is risk taking, like actually getting uncomfortable and seeing what your risk threshold is, because no different than the risks you take by buying something on Amazon is the same risk assessment and risk threshold you have by investing your time and your money into something that'll create like the ideal outcome.
Mhm.
And you do the same thing with going to the gym. When you it feels hard, but it's just uncomfortable. You're looking around, you're wondering if people are looking at you because you're the odd duck in the room. You don't know form very well. You're still kind of distracted by your phone or how long you've been there or if it's the right music to motivate you. But eventually, your risk assessment and your risk threshold pays off. And then you realize, oh, I can go a little further.
Mhm.
Okay, we can go a little further. And I think that's a huge component is tattoo artists believe that they are in a career that's high demand, not only of them, but in the consumer perspective, but they're not willing to take the risks to better their situations, to better their lives, to better their outcomes. They just stay very comfortable right here because the tattoo industry, the tattoo badge was supposed to provide so much. Why challenge myself anymore? I've already reached my goal of being a tattoo artist. Now, why isn't everything great happening for me? Because you're not taking more risks.
Yep. And I can tell you from personal experience and stuff, and again, talking to people, things like that, talking to someone like you, like after you start to take risks, like the biggest fear usually is one being uncomfortable, and two is failing. And I tell you what,
Yep.
after you take big risks a couple of times, you don't care anymore. Like I will start something, and there's a good possibility I'll fail in it, I'll still do it versus like I have a friend who wants to start a podcast and he's so worried about, okay, well, who's gonna listen to it? What's going on? What if it's not successful? Like, who gives a shit, man? Just do
Yeah.
it. And then like you start to get used to that feeling. And it's actually pretty amazing when you're not worried. Like if it fails, it fails. It's like, okay, what then? I still have my house, I still have my kids, I still have my job. Like it failed. That sucks. I chalk it up as a learning lesson and I move on. The fear of failure is and getting out of your comfort zone is huge. And but after you do it a few times, it's not a big you're used to it. You do not
Yeah.
care.
I love to have this conversation that I believe all humans in existence are creative in their own way. And the reason you can be certain of that is because of paralysis by analysis. You are creative
Mm,
in the fear that you create in your own head. You're creative in the what if variables you create each and every day. Imagine you took all of that energy and you just applied it to something. If you just took the risk, if you just had messy action. I had recently put a post out about the strongest asset and the biggest anchor for every artist is their creativity, because the things that got you to the point you are to be seen as a quality artist are the same things that hold you back in growing your business or investing in yourself or fill in the blank because of
mm,
the analysis paralysis. One creates freedom and escape, where the other one creates prison walls and uncertainty.
mm.
And it's the same thing we're talking about is the reason a lot of artists don't prioritize their personal health is time management, not one to feel uncomfortable, and just not believing that they can or it's for them or they have a reason to do so. you
100%.
know
Have you ever read the book Buy Back Your Time?
I've read it with my ears, which
Okay.
means I was about 25% present in that audible while listening to it. Yeah.
It's awesome. So the whole thing about it is essentially letting go. And I know shop owners have a issue with that. Like nobody's gonna do it as well as I can do it. And like
Mhm.
that's probably true. That business, that's your baby. That is your baby. But if somebody can do it at least at 80% as well, and you buy back those amount of hours, whether it's bookkeeping, marketing, cleaning the shop, stuff like that, if you can buy your time back, that's 100% worth it. And that is getting into the uncomfortable and getting more time back. But if somebody can help you along the way with that, it's one of those fears that kind of ties back into holding people back and keeping them where they are. Like my shop grew to this size because I did it exactly like this, and then not wanting to give up that control. But you can't scale the business if you're spending 20 hours a month doing bookkeeping and work and cleaning and all that stuff. That's 20 hours you could be investing into actually learning how to scale your shop and get better.
Well, I mean, not only that, but really go the next step. Like you can't buy your time back. So all the time you invest in trying to figure it out yourself, all the valuable life lessons learned the hard way is time invested.
Mm.
And my new toxic trait is investing in myself. I I spend, and this is gonna sound fucking insane. I spend approximately $5,500 to $6,500 a month on personal investments, on mentors, on coaches. I pay one guy $3,500 a month
Damn.
for one call a month. And to everyone else, that sounds psychopathic, but the work and those little Easter eggs that I take away from each one of those calls, it strengthens my relationship. It strengthens my personal belief. It strengthens my business strategies. But even if I take one Easter egg away and it moves my dial that much further,
Mhm.
my ROI on that investment is so astronomical that I can consistently do it. You know, I may not get return monetarily right away, but the work that I do because of the call that I had, knowing that I've invested, so it's my obligation to follow through, outweighs the fear of not investing every single time. But that's a big hindrance, you know, and you hear it all the time, whether it's with InkLink or with the Force of Focus, or even a client who's afraid to spend the money on the tattoo, so they just go for the cheaper route.
Mhm.
It's because it's solely because people don't understand the value in the outcome. They don't understand the value in the experience. They can't see so far forward to understand that the ROI isn't just, oh, I want my money back. It's, this is the dream outcome I want, and I don't want to dedicate the time to having to learn it myself. I've done that and it hasn't produced the results. Pay someone who's been there, done that, created it, and can help me get there at a faster rate. And yeah, my toxic trait is crazy levels of personal investment because I mean, look at athletes. You know, look at like academics. People pay crazy amounts of money to help them get to where they want to go faster. Why aren't we? You know,
Mhm.
we have a high ticket offer as tattoo artists alone. You know, and a little bit of investment can get you a long way in yourself, in your business, in your family unit, whatever the case is that you want. Invest in it. Otherwise, you look at all of those things as an expense.
Mhm. Yeah, agreed. I personally do spend a probably more money than I should on every month on training and investment and coaches and mentors. But for example, I have been in a group for the last 4 years. It's $1,500 a month, and it is about 500 marketing agency owners. And
Mhm.
at that price point, you get people that are only serious, know what they do, like know how to do stuff. The amount of return on investment I've got from that is mind boggling because I don't have to
Yeah.
sit there and try to figure out this freaking problem. I can call one of my mentors who's already been through it. Oh, this is what you do. Bam, bam, bam. And instead of me taking 3 months, being super stressed out, watching a bunch of YouTube videos, I know what to do. Like it has
Yep.
been the best thing I've ever done for business, for myself personally. Just hire like we decided to go all in on YouTube probably a month ago, and I'm not gonna sit there and watch. I mean, I did watch a bunch of YouTube videos, but I on how to do it. But also, the first thing I did is okay, where is the best coach I can hire, so it doesn't take me a year to get to my goals. It takes me 3 months, which is in return
Yep.
is gonna have an insane ROI. Now it's expensive, but it's gonna pay for itself like infinitely with the knowledge I get and the actual return on investment over the next year.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, I mean, especially for anybody who understands social media platforms in general, you don't need to be on all of them. You just need to master a few.
Mhm.
And when you really gauge the analytics of it, YouTube is going to be the smartest place for education and awareness. And not only that, I mean, free game. Get really good at knowing what it is you want to deliver with your messaging, with your education, your entertainment, your agitation, whatever content you're into. Chop it up, repurpose AI, put it everywhere.
Yep.
You know, if you focus on long form, you're already going to get some really good Easter eggs out of it. And that's
Mhm.
something that I still know I need to do, but I've paid mentors for that information. It's just a matter of like, so with the force of focus, we do so many things. I don't want to convolute it with a crap ton of topics. I truly just want to help the person. The reason I have so many people in leadership is Joe has been a tattoo artist for 29 years. He's also in corporate world, works in SaaS corporations, revenue generation, and all those things. Worked like he was the first host of Sullen Radio before tattoo podcasts were a thing. He works for me because he's smarter than I am at this shit. Steve works for us, marketing, branding, does custom logos from the ground up. He can do that shit. I can't. I don't want to speak on it. Jared, financial investor, financial literacy, psychology, helping people not only save, but most of all, invest so that they don't have to worry about scarcity. They can worry about abundance when it comes to their monetary gain. So how can we utilize one to polish the other, to enhance the other, to fast track the other? My specialty is the person. I don't give a shit about your badge. I don't care about your Instagram handle. I want to know where you are and why you're struggling, because if you're in a bad place, so is the outcome of your tattoo career. But one has to come before the other. So if I'm in a podcast, I want to talk to the person.
100%, man. And let's actually kind of jump into your program and what you do and all that kind of stuff, because I think it would be super helpful. I'm a huge proponent of mindset stuff, along with a handful of other things. Like that is one of the biggest pieces in there. And I've looked over, a ton of your stuff, videos, things like that. And I like the fact that you're not one of those gurus that's just like, believe in yourself and everything will be fine. It's like, no, this is what you need to do. And it's actionable stuff. And that makes a world of difference. There's a lot of videos out there that are like that. Just believe in yourself and you'll be fine. It's like, no, you need to work. This isn't easy. Nothing in life is easy. One of my absolute favorite Ed Milet quotes is, at the end of your life, he believes that he's going to meet the version of himself that he could have been if he did everything, he put everything into what he wanted. And that is a weird thought. Like, what if at the end of your life, you die and you meet the person that you could have been if you just fucking hustled and you worked like extremely hard and took care of your family and had a good life because you had decided, like, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. I'm going to take these risks. I'm going to make these smart investments. Like that is it's almost a scary thought what that would be like.
I love that, dude. And I was told by one of my mentors. So the two people that I work with the most diligently are Keaton Hoskins, the muscle from the Diesel Brothers, now just an absolute monster, and Rob Bailey from Flag Nor Fail.
Oh, awesome. I love them.
Yeah. And so both of those guys will tell me on a frequent basis, think about death like a lot. Don't do it morbid. Don't do it with being a downer, but you never know when it's going to come. Are the actions that you took today going to be a happy result of the outcome? Because just like you said, and Keaton tells me this all the time, one day you will meet your maker and you're going to have to look the version of you were supposed to be in the eyes. Are you going to be that same man, or are you going to realize all of your downfalls? And I'll be damned, for sure. I want to look him in the eyes and say, you are the same creative, you are the same mentor, you're the same father, you're the same partner, you're the same provider, you're the same person who's creating the impact that you were meant to be every single day. And I will pray on that shit every damn day to make sure that I'm guided along the right path, to know I'm making the next right decision. And everything that I do on the what's called the flagship call, that's personal development, time management, personal excellence, and making sure that people are doing the internal work, we will have this conversation frequently, because we neglect ourselves to such a degree in tattooing. We feel as if we have to sacrifice ourselves for the greater good of an industry that we don't understand. Our personal health, our nutrition, our urgency, our sleep patterns, which sounds contradictory due to my 4 to 5 hours. But like we initially, like we almost sign an undocumented contract to sacrifice most of ourselves to fall under a certain category of what we believe tattooing expects of us. But what would happen if you gave 2 times the amount of energy to yourself that you give to anything else? Do you believe that version of you would show up as an absolute killer in all of the other shit? Or do you think it's better to prioritize what you think the expectations are of you, knowing that you are still feeling a little empty inside? And so that is a huge component to what we do. I can tell you every single day, can I show you how to market? You bet. Can I show you how to save money? Absolutely. It's a pretty easy thing to do. Can I show you how to invest? I can't, but Jared can, because I don't want to tell you my system because it's erratic. Can we show you how to build a business? Not a problem. Joe's an absolute monster. What I care about is you, the person who I get to look at, the person that I get to know, the person who I understand the problems you're facing, so that we can create freedom, time management, financial security, and most of all, your own personal happiness. Everybody's searching for happiness, but happiness isn't a goal, it's a byproduct. And you'll never be as successful as you want to be if you yourself are not in a position to know, oh, this is happy, because it's a moving goalpost.
100%. And one of my favorite sayings with that is, you wouldn't have the highs without the lows. Like, you're not always going to be happy. That's just life. But it is stringing as many of those days together as you can.
Yep. And okay, so to go back to what the force of focus is, I just wanted to I just went on a tangent. But like, what we do is we provide everything that I inevitably had to face to create the success that I have. I work on personal development because once upon a time I was a drug addict, I was an alcoholic, I was the cartoon character tattoo artist, and I had to face a lot of storms to know the person I had to become to be able to create success, or to value success, or to even know what success looked like for me. We do full marketing and branding, because you can't know your brand if you don't know yourself. So I'll be damned if we give you a logo that doesn't mean a damn thing. We're going to figure out who you are, what you represent, and the mission that you're on, so that now the brand we create for you can target your ideal client, so that it speaks directly to the consumer that you can best serve. Then we'll show you how to market that, because every quality brand needs a marketing strategy. So you're not shooting buckshot. We want to show you how to snipe. And that's going to be through organic content. I'm not going to show you exactly how to run ads, because frankly, there are other people who are better than that out there. But I am going to show you that what you provide isn't just content, it's documentation broken down into content. You have to be confident in the person you are, and you have to document, not create content. Then if you're a business owner or a one-off with a private studio, we have an entire call dedicated to infrastructure, business in a box, knowing how to innovate, and being able to gauge industry growth in other industries to know that we can predict the growth that's going to occur in the tattoo industry itself. Because tattooing as a younger industry will inevitably hit the same growing pains every other industry has. And with Joe and I's experience in other industries, we can predict the climate changes that are inevitably going to occur. So it's no longer adapt or die, but it's set the trend and set the tone.
I love that, because obviously the tattoo industry right now is not, 2022 was great. You could turn people away and you were still totally fine. It has changed a lot since then. But when I talk to these older artists that made it through 2008, stuff like that, and all these highs and lows of the economy, like, to them, it's just another wave. It happens, man. But a lot of these newer artists, especially the ones that, got in after COVID, thought they were like, this is how the industry always is, like in late 2021, 2022. And it's not. And started to go out on their own, and like all these shops opened up, which, it is what it is. But now that they're seeing the other side of that, like the old school guys are like, yeah, we'll still survive. And then we see a bunch of these newer shops starting to close down because they weren't ready for that. They didn't know that, that amazing 12 to 18 months isn't how the industry normally operates.
Yeah, I think one thing that breaks my heart the most is gauging the metrics of the artists that I speak to the most. There's a lot of veteran artists who are being snuffed out by people who just, I guess, era-based understand marketing, because they grew up in an era where marketing was just how you communicate. They don't even know they're marketing. They're just communicating, because the only way they know how to socialize is on social media. Every artist that I speak to is like, once I get them in the shop, they're mine for good. Like, cool, but because clients know they have the convenience of not coming into the shop first, how are you going to bridge that gap? How are you going to break through that wall? You need to know how these climate changes are occurring. There's a lot of amazing artists, and I can give you a laundry list of names, who were at the top of their game and coasted, and now have lost their momentum. Or they got so good they started marketing to other tattoo artists, and now they don't know how to continue to market to clients, because the algorithm's going to put you somewhere. So if you don't have a quality strategy of knowing how to speak directly to your consumer and all you're doing is marketing to other artists, you kind of throttled yourself. So do you have a system in place to be able to put you back on the right path to get the clients that you know you want? Because there's amazing artists out there
Mhm.
who are struggling right now. And it has nothing to do with their quality. It has to do with their systems.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I literally talk to them every day. Like I had 4 sales calls this morning and presentations. We're doing Zoom and I'm looking at their work and it's like, you are phenomenal. And then we'll also every once in a while get shops that like they're doing great right now. And you look at their work and you're like, oh, okay. I'm glad you are not, but it is definitely a different game being a great tattoo artist now, because they're everywhere. You get these kids, I'll say, in their early 20s that have been artists their entire life, come out of art school, and now it is actually socially acceptable to become a tattoo artist, and they see that they can make this great amount of money. So it's the level of talent in the tattoo industry right now is insane. It's
Yeah.
absolutely nuts.
And so here's the blessing and the curse of that. Everyone who comes into the tattoo industry inevitably at one point in time had talent and they stood out amongst the masses because of that. Then they entered an industry that is surrounded with talent. So now your talent becomes average. So what skills are you willing to learn and invest in to be able to accelerate your talent to actually be visible? That's the thing. Everybody says it's a saturated market. It's it depends upon the market you're in. Because eventually you get to a point where it's clear skies and there's a lot of killer artists out there who are talented, very skilled, and providing a really quality experience that they can then like sell and they can actually target the clients they want to work with. I'm a firm believer that we provide a luxury experience, we provide a luxury product. But people will say that like it's a problem. Become a luxury person and speak to luxury consumers, and then all of a sudden you're doing fine. Don't allow luxury to be the scarcity of it. Increase your skills to become more luxury to match the product to speak to a consumer who can afford it.
Mhm.
A lot of artists will cut themselves off at the knees because they feel bad about charging a certain person. Where's the problem really lie? And I know that's kind of a controversial thing, but there's an artist for every client. Are you more worried about your clientele acquisition or being able to do an amazing job on the right person?
Love that. Absolutely love that. I know there it seems like recently there's been kind of a race to the bottom almost. Everyone's trying to go cheaper, and like there's like the content you make and the ads you run when targeting the correct people, like money isn't a concern.
Mhm.
Like I know myself personally, I'll fly to fucking Florida for an amazing artist and I'll pay $500 an hour. Like those people are out there. You are just like, and when you make content that makes it like, hey, come in and I'll give you, a 4 hour session for $200 or something insane. You're just, like you said, cutting yourself off at the knee. Like you make yourself look like a cheap artist. And like there's people out there that's what they want. And if that's the kind of artist you want to be, that's totally fine. You do you. But don't handicap yourself just because your content is wrong, you're marketing to the wrong people, stuff like that. There are plenty of people with plenty of money that love tattoos. Doctors have tattoos now, scientists, like everybody has tattoos. Market to the right people. That's the whole thing.
And yeah, I think a big component is people get stuck in where it is they believe they should be, which is why people say, well, the economy. But also, when you really look at money in, money out, and where money's going, there's never been a better time in the world for money to be made. Look at how wealthy people are becoming just on TikTok alone because they made a sweet poop tweet. You know what I mean? You can't tell me that you can't make a shit ton of money doing the thing that you love when there's people out there making boatloads. I work with a couple who pulls in like $60,000-$70,000 and they work out of their homes just by talking about their own personal lives. Money's readily available and those people are getting tattooed. What stops you from being able to target a market? Mostly it's because you're trying to speak to everyone because you're afraid
Yep.
instead of just speaking to one specific person you can service the best.
Yep.
And that's an old adage that I had to learn in other industries than tattooing. But if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. So if I can give any
Yes.
good advice advice, like if I can give any good advice to any artist who listens to this, is do inventory. Look at all of the clients you've had that you served the best, that you created the best relationship with, that was no problem. They let you do what you wanted to do. You had a really good reputation and relationship with them, and people that you still tattoo. What are they into? What do they like? What are their interests? And start speaking to that, because something about you spoke to them that wasn't your art. Otherwise, they wouldn't come back. So if you know your avatar and you just design your outreach to them, you document your life to be more relatable to them, then the sell is inevitable. But you have to have a business mindset. You're not just a pirate. Everyone needs to quit lying to themselves about that shit, all right? Because even pirates died of scurvy eventually.
Yeah.
So like there's no flex and humility when all it is arrogance for not having money. Like humility comes from having earned something and still being like humble. You can't be humble and not successful. It doesn't work.
Yeah. I love the create content for your perfect client avatar, create content for the person you want to see. And I'm a firm believer that if you do that, you will start to get negative content or negative comments from people that aren't yours. And to me, that's how I know we are doing things correctly. Like if we run an ad, it's so weird, but the more negative content or negative comments we get always indicates the ad is doing the best and brings the best return and brings in the best clients, because we do alienate people that aren't our ideal client. And
Yeah.
that's just how it is. But the other side of that is the clients that are our ideal clients see that and say, hey, this isn't somebody that just works with any tattoo artist. Like you have to have a shop with 3 or more artists. You have to have like a website. You have to be established. And like that's our ideal client.
Here's how I've looked at the ideal client concept more recently is a lot of artists look at their ideal clients in the same capacity they look at their friends, people that they would usually hang out with. The way that I look at my ideal clients are the people that I network with, the people I invest in being around more frequently. So are you networking on a lateral plane or are you networking vertically? Because that's going to help you determine the kind of person that you can work with as well. That goes back to the do you want growth or do you want to stay comfortable? Because that you can't have both. So if you're marketing to your friends, you're probably going to gouge yourself. If you're marketing like upward and vertically, then you're probably going to be seen by a more quality clientele. And it doesn't mean you're cutting other people off, because there's always runoff. What it means is that you're valuing yourself, you're valuing the product that you produce, you're valuing the experience that you provide, and there's someone out there who will value it as much.
100%, man. And one thing I do want to say about that is our marketing, when you go to our landing pages, it says, our shops need to have 3 or more artists. We work with a handful of individual artists,
Mhm.
but it's the ones that see that and actually seek us out and start asking us questions about it. Those are the ones you can tell are serious, and then we'll actually have a conversation with them. So like you said, even if somebody is not your ideal client, if they see that and they're serious about it, they'll still contact you. They'll still want to work with you. So it's a double-edged sword for sure. And this is kind of shifting gears a little bit, but something you said made me think about it is the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most and look up to the most. What do you
Mhm.
think about that?
I couldn't agree more, because when I really reevaluated my social circle, there were people when I started my personal growth, there were people just like you had said. They're like, "The fuck are you doing?" You know what I mean? They're always trying to pull me back to the bar. They're always trying to get me to
Mhm.
do the same old dumb shit. I realized when they thought that I was changing, I had to assess the fact that it wasn't that I was changing that was the problem. It was the fact that they refused to. That was the real issue.
Mhm.
And so on my momentum, I started like paying attention to other people. I started associating with other people. I started investing in other social circles. I mean, I'm a member of entrepreneur groups in my local area. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce for a particular reason. I invest in masterminds and other social groups at capacity because I get to have really cool quality conversations, and we're all on the same trajectory. What I've learned is even in one of the masterminds that I'm a part of, the Limitless Society, people are in a crazy level of different businesses. No one is really the same, but we all are headed in the same direction, and none of us are really that different. We all just have different zones of genius.
Mhm.
And that only refines my ability to be a better me, to be a better business owner, to be a better leader in my studio, or even a better leader in the force. Like my superpower is the fact I don't keep it in the tattoo family, because I'll be damned if I spend another 15 years learning from a bunch of people who have done the same shit and are producing the same results. I would rather learn from people who have done it differently to be able to change my trajectory. Keeping it in the tattoo family is it's great if you want to stay the exact same, and I get it. Comfort is cool,
Mhm.
but challenging yourself and seeing what you're made of is kind of the driving force of the tattoo industry, isn't it? Like, wasn't the point to challenge social standards? Wasn't the point to challenge the norm? Yet everything you do kind of falls under a real serious cartoon character guideline of what's always been done.
Yeah, agreed. I think being able to get around people that are where you want to be, and again, it doesn't have to be in the tattoo industry. It can be entrepreneurs. Like I go to Miami 3 times a year for a seminar that is in that group that I was talking about, and it is a bunch of marketing agency owners, and we talk about what's working the best, what changes are made, problems everybody's seeing, to so everybody levels up as a group. But just being around those people and that level of experience and stuff is very different than hanging out with my friends and stuff like that. And then we're also doing, in about a month, we'll be at the Evergreen Invitational doing a couple seminars. We got a booth, we're doing a podcast, it's gonna be epic. But I love that convention because it is, one, it's an invite only thing, and two, it is a group of people that are humble, the nicest you'll ever meet. They all want to learn, they all want to get better. Like, and so there is, I don't want to say no reason with sticking around, like, and learning from other tattoo artists, but
Yeah.
like going to a convention like that where you have a bunch of people at a high level, that is very different than just hanging out in the local tattoo shops.
I definitely do want to preface my previous statement on that. Like, I love the tattoo artists that I get to associate with because they've all vertically climbed in different directions from different places, like, and they've all accumulated vast levels of knowledge that I don't have, so we can all grow together. However, as an industry, yourself. You know what I mean? You're not a tattoo artist, you work within the tattoo industry. But you bring a zone of genius into the industry that changes the trajectory of artists' lives, and you intermingle within those two communities.
Mm.
And being able to do that, someone who can go from industry to industry and provide value everywhere, is one of the rarest things now, because people get so bottlenecked in where it is they're most comfortable that they stop the growth. But when you can jump from one industry to another and just provide value or gain insight or be able to network properly within them, it only means the other people sitting at your table can then grow. I say tribalism all the time,
Mm.
because I believe that everyone who sits at the table comes with a different zone of genius. We are not all really good at the same thing. That would be a really boring conversation.
Yep.
I want to make sure that all of the people who are sitting at our table are focusing on something else, growing in something else. They have a vision of something that we may not be able to really understand until it's brought to the table. But we're all hunting together. We're all eating together.
Yep.
You know, and that's what society's always been. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. At this point, we're all just trying to grow. We're all just trying to do better. Take
Mm.
take the tattoo badge off for a second. What does success really mean to you? Like, and how deep can you go down that rabbit back to your, like, the universe will provide, let's manifest.
Mm.
That's all good and well, but if you don't have enough fuel in the tank to help you start to meet manifestation in the middle, then all you're doing is turning your dreams into delusion.
Mhm.
And my fuel comes from a magnitude of places, but most of all, it comes from surrounding myself with people who will keep me accountable, keep me moving, keep me learning, and knowing that anything is possible, especially as a creative. You can create magic every single day but people are actively choosing to spectate while everyone else creates it. You have the tools to create magic yourself. It just takes a little bit of learning and a little bit of skills.
Definitely, man. And there's one thing I've noticed with almost every like successful shop owner and even artist that I have talked to that is really at like the next level and doing cool stuff like you are. And is that they have those mentors and those groups outside of the tattoo industry, because like marketing or personal development or any of those things, like the pillars are the same in any industry. Like the
Yeah.
pillars of marketing, like you can read a book, Breakthrough Advertising. It was written in like the 40s,
Yeah.
and that is the pillars of marketing that are still used today. Like it's everything stays the same. And the same with personal development and your mental health and stuff. Like it could be any industry, the pillars stay the same. So going out and learning from other people, you can always bring it back into what you're doing and you just make a few changes so it works for you.
The one thing that I love about the coaching space, because there's a few things. There are some people out there who are just doing it because it helps them create passive income. There are other people out there who do it because they want to how to follow in the same footsteps. It's the difference between a pyramid or a ladder.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I would rather create a ladder where I can reach around and help the next person up instead of feeling like there's a bunch of people under me that are just really like building up everything that I have. That's beside the point. Point being is we all teach the same shit. You know, nobody's reinventing the wheel. It's just the tonality that speaks to a specific individual. My lady can tell me some of the best advice I had ever heard, and I don't listen to a second of it. But then all of a sudden, my mentor tells me the same thing, and I run upstairs. I'm like, guess what we just figured out?
Yeah.
It's all about the tonality. It's all about just, it's worded one way that speaks directly to your soul, where you're like, that makes so much sense now.
Mm.
You know, and if anybody's watched my content, I have mastered the art of agitation content because that's who I am. I'm fired up, I'm energetic, I'm aggressive, but I want to make sure that people see the possibility in it, you know? But my tonality probably is not for everyone, and that's okay.
Mm.
There are other people out there who have gone through the same stages, the same steps, and created similar results on their own brand of success that are meant for you. There's no cookie cutter anything out there
Mm.
unless it was designed for quick money making activities. That's just my personal opinion. But with what one person will tell you, I will tell you the same thing, and another person will tell you the same thing. One of those people you will listen to because it spoke directly to the person whose inner voice you need to hear. You know, we all have this little voice in the back of our heads, and one of those three voices are going to silence the roar of that negativity.
Couldn't agree more, man. Michael, I've had you for almost an hour. I'll let you go. We'll probably have to do this again because there's so many more things I want to talk about. But where can people find you and your coaching and all that kind of stuff?
The Force of Focus on Instagram is my primary platform. We are going to start moving into YouTube, but the Force of Focus, you know what I mean? Shoot us a DM, ask us any question that you have. If you listen to this podcast and you say Ink Link, then we will get you on a call immediately and we can talk about how it is we can get you up and running. I want to be able to help the people who actually pay attention. If you listened all the way through this podcast, it means you give a shit. So shoot us the action word ink link and we'll get you on a call, figure out what it is we can do to get you to where you want to go.
Awesome, man. I massively appreciate you, sir. We'll talk again.
Here to help, man. Take care.
You too. Bye.